Because so many are expected to be charged in connection to Dang's death, they are charging these young men in phases. Those accused of covering this up are being charged first, and the most seriously charged, those facing accusations of murder and assault, will be last. The Paredes want to see that pavilion where their daughter was killed named in her honor. After seeing our undercover video, authorities have promised action. The horrifying scene we showed you a few weeks ago. Cars trapped on the tracks in Elmwood Park. It's a crossing where cars and trains often collide. Even if you don't ride these dollar jitneys, you're still sharing the road with them. They pick up commuters in New Jersey, dropping many off here in New York. We went undercover and caught some breaking the law again and again. And President Obama, inside the building behind me, the Salvation Army, held up Camden as a shining example of the type of things that can happen when the police and community members work peacefully together. Riders can get from one place to another for as little as $1. Using undercover cameras, we caught many jitney drivers breaking the law, which can produce tragic results. Time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee. Those were the words sent in a fateful message. Federal charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, and civil rights abuses after lane closures and an alleged cover-up on the George Washington Bridge. Now, NJ Transit says that the safety gates all were working properly, and I want to show you this. Notice there's surveillance cameras pointing directly at this crossing. We asked NJ Transit to show us those tapes.
There's a little baby. I don't know what happened, but she's crying.
It was a unique tragedy. A crash that killed someone so young and impacted so many.
It only takes a second for something to happen. That's the second that changed my entire life.
Investigators say Sphinx bus driver Adawu Daramola was using his cell phone behind the wheel when his bus careened into 3 parked cars and a light pole. The pole toppled directly onto Maylin Paredes' stroller, killing 8-month-old Angelie.
Mama. My daughter would have been 3 this year.
We witnessed jitney drivers speeding, passing, and using their cell phones behind the wheel.
There were constant complaints about the buses cutting people off or driving very slow down the middle of Bergline Avenue so nobody can get around them, so they get the fares.
We watched this driver take or make 9 calls while we rode on board, going through a green light, passing a green pavilion that should serve as a reminder. It's where Angelie was killed.
We shouldn't be on the streets.
Another looks down repeatedly at her iPhone, while this driver took her eyes off the road to do the same.
And putting people's lives in jeopardy, this has to stop.
Because they cross state lines, many jitneys fall under federal regulation. Some have been federally cited for unsafe driving nearly 100 times in just the last 2 years, many of them with only a handful of drivers. Driving without a proper license, driving with a suspended license, driving while fatigued or intoxicated, all violations served under federal law. An official with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration told us that there is no set limit for violations because each company is investigated on a case-by-case basis. We went to find the owner of one company that stood out. We witnessed this company's drivers break the law the most. They've been slapped with nearly 200 federal violations in 2 years, many of them for poor vehicle maintenance or problems with drivers. Some were caught driving with an improper or a suspended license. It's the same company in the crash that killed Angelie.
Hi, Magdi. Christie Duffy, Pix 11.
He did not want to answer our questions.
No, just would you please let me stay outside?
But after we showed him this,
I apologize for what's happened, but I will take care of it.
he showed us the company's safety policy. It forbids drivers from speeding, driving without a proper license, cell phone use, and other safety infractions. But most offenses leave room for a second even a third chance behind the wheel.
So what will happen to this driver?
This driver, I'm gonna call him over here, I show him the picture, and I'm gonna suspend him.
So he'll be able to drive again?
He cannot be drive.
Ever again?
Well, we can.
This is for me is the first time. Okay, for me is the first time. I know, so it's gonna be for 1 week suspended.
I hope that these bus operators are getting the message. It truly is a sad thing that after the laws have been enacted, that after we've done enforcement, there are still bus operators out there that are violating the law.
A law named for Angelique Paredes. It took full effect this year. It required jitney drivers to obtain commercial licenses. It raised insurance requirements and requires a blood sample be taken from the jitney driver if he or she causes a serious accident that injures or kills. Company owners must also post signs informing riders where to call to complain. In a 2-day sting, the New Jersey Division of Consumer Affairs fined 24 companies for not posting them.
I don't want anyone to forget.
The Paredes have never returned to the pavilion where their daughter died.
I think for peace of mind for myself, I really want to return one day and be able to sit there and find peace.
The Paredes want to see that pavilion where their daughter was killed named in her honor. After seeing our undercover video, authorities have promised action. Tamsin, John. As a direct result of Pix 11's undercover investigation into jitney buses, police are cracking down, issuing dozens of violations while riding undercover themselves.
We went undercover again, this time riding with police. We're tailing the jitney buses you often see outside Port Authority. Their fares can be as little as $1, but we found that the ride can often be dangerous. Last week, we showed you jitney drivers caught speeding, passing, and using their cell phones behind the wheel. Police in North Bergen, New Jersey saw our report and decided to ride the buses undercover themselves.
Yeah, it's coming right now. It's the first bus coming your way.
We watched as police officers in plain clothes got on board. They stood up to identify themselves when they saw drivers breaking the law. In all, officers caught jitney drivers violating the law 24 times in just 8 hours. Most were stopped for cell phone use behind the wheel. With the jitney business booming, police say complaints from the public have been pouring in.
A lot of cell phone use, texting and driving. It's, they're operating a commercial bus, and it puts the lives of the passengers in danger.
But cell phones appear to be part of how drivers stay competitive. We often overheard them talking to each other about where to catch the next fare.
No people mean 66.
This stop driver explains in Spanish that he was calling his boss.
But you're talking on cell phone, you can't do that. It's unacceptable. You're driving passengers in a commercial bus.
In 2013, a jitney driver was allegedly using his phone when he lost control and struck a light pole that fell onto a stroller. The impact killed Malin Paredes' 8-month-old daughter, Angelique.
I don't want anyone to forget.
Riders today seem to reject drivers' disregard for safety. After police wrote this driver a summons for using his cell phone, they gave riders an option.
Anybody that wants to get off the bus now, doesn't feel safe riding on here, you're welcome to exit.
Everybody on board got off immediately.
Even though local police are stepping up, it's unclear if their efforts will have a lasting impact. This isn't the first time they've cracked down on these jitneys over the years, and we've seen drivers continue to break the law. In the past decade, only about a dozen hazardous passenger bus companies in our area have been ordered to stop operating by federal regulators, whereas in comparison, hundreds of dangerous trucking companies in the New York area have been shut down. We found at least 36 reports of the crossing gates malfunctioning over the course of the past 10 years. We asked the Federal Railroad Administration about this, and a spokesman told us they are investigating.
Bassam Sayej worries that he'll never recover from this crash. He was in the passenger seat when his car and a New Jersey Transit train collided in April. This is the crossing where he and his wife were hit. It is the most dangerous railroad crossing in the New York metropolitan area, according to the Federal Railroad Administration. It's on Midland Avenue in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. In the past 25 years, there have been 24 collisions. 8 have been injured here, and 2 pedestrians have died, one of them a suicide. In this legal document, the Sayejes claim that the day they were hit, the crossing gates malfunctioned, trapping their car on the tracks.
This gate not working proper, that's why you have this accident.
An NJ Transit spokeswoman told us just the opposite, stating, quote, the safety warning system was working properly. And in fact, the Sayejes were ticketed for disregarding the railroad crossing. But the railroad's own incident reports obtained by Pix 11 show gate malfunctions reported at Midland Avenue dozens of times. Incident records list at least 36 malfunctions reported in the past 10 years. One malfunction was reported just 4 days before a 2013 crash. Incident reports from the day of the Sayejes crash were not available. We asked the Federal Railroad Administration about the dozens of malfunctions reported at this crossing. A spokesman told us they are now investigating both the Sayejes crash and what they call, quote, the spate of partial activation failures at this crossing. We also asked NJ Transit about the malfunction reports. They say these are simply calls made to police and that it's up to transit mechanics to determine if there is an actual problem at the crossing. None of the reported gate malfunctions listed at Midland Avenue are in here. This is the Federal Railroad Administration's database of crossing gate failures. NJ Transit says that's because there has never been an activation failure at this crossing. An investigator we talked to believes these reported malfunctions should be in the database.
When you find out that the Federal Railroad Administration doesn't have the information, that means that the railroad failed to report it, or the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, is not checking up with their inspectors.
Bob Comer says he's investigated over 400 railroad crashes nationwide. He says the railroad industry largely relies on the railroads themselves to report issues to the policing agency, the FRA.
The claims of the railroad crossing activations or warning devices being fail-safe is a giant lie.
I'm not the first victim on that road.
Bassam Sayej told me this afternoon he had to be taken back to the hospital today for more treatment. 2 near misses close to the tracks this afternoon.
It started as a false alarm. The van you see here tried to cross the train tracks but got trapped on the wrong side of the gate.
I don't know.
Despite the warning, the train never showed up. But several terrifying seconds later,
now there's cars.
Another warning. This time, 5 cars are stuck, and the van is now blocking the only way out of danger. You can hear the oncoming train chugging down the track. A near miss, and for this dark blue minivan, a very close call.
This is why there's accidents.
And get this, just a couple hours later, it happened again. The crossing gates are down. This time, 2 cars are trapped inside, trying to nervously maneuver away from the tracks. Again, it was a miss, but residents that live within eyeshot of the crossing say they've heard the crunch of cars getting hit too many times.
I heard them. It's pretty loud. Like, a lot of cars, get hit by trains, or people usually get stuck, like, on the tracks,
Why are they getting stuck up there?
Because there's a lot of traffic going on, like the lights down there, or it just gets backed up.
And traffic did get backed up onto the tracks this afternoon. A 16-wheeler had to reverse away from the crossing. Luckily, no train was coming this time. This crossing is located on Midland Avenue in Elmwood Park, and it's been ranked #1, the riskiest railroad crossing in the New York City region by the Federal Railroad Administration. There have been 8 car-to-train collisions here in just a 5-year span from 2009 to 2013. Some of the crashes in Elmwood Park have been deadly. Also making the top 5 list, 3 crossings on Long Island and another busy Bergen County crossing on Main Street in Ramsey.
And here you can see traffic is now moving just fine over the tracks. And I did see NJ Transit crews out here today. They were working on testing some of the signals. That's what they told me, at least, so that it could explain why we saw some of those false alarms where they came down, but there was no train in sight. I also talked to a New Jersey Transit spokesperson who says they are continuously working to try and make this and every crossing safer. He says all crossings in New Jersey run by New Jersey Transit are inspected every 30 days. So you can hear a train coming now, but the sentiment, and look, right behind me now, a car is getting stuck under the arm as it comes down. This one on the other side of the tracks trying to reverse out away from the train track. So as you can see, this happens quite frequently. And another K-turn. That's exactly what happened earlier and how those oncoming cars got stuck. Anyway, New Jersey Transit is telling me that they are talking about putting in another traffic signal further away. They have put more signals, lights, and signs to try and make this a safer crossing, but they're talking about putting in more traffic signals further down the block to try and avoid traffic getting backed up onto these train tracks. Live in Elmwood Park, Christie Duffy, Pix 11 News. Tamsin, John. You might remember the horrifying scene we showed you a few weeks ago. Cars trapped on the tracks in Elmwood Park. It's a crossing where cars and trains often collide, but changes are now on the way. Nearly $1 million in construction improvements will start in just a couple weeks to make this crossing safer.
5 cars are trapped between the safety gates. A train is coming. It's a close call that apparently happens all the time. Cars pass the safety gates at this railroad crossing on Midland Avenue in Elmwood Park multiple times a day. We witnessed 10 vehicles do it in just several hours. The Federal Railroad Administration says train-into-car crashes are more likely to happen here than at any other railroad crossing in the tri-state area.
There have been 40 accidents here. In just 29 years, people's lives have been lost.
Congressman Pascrell wrote a letter urging the New Jersey Department of Transportation to act.
I saw your camera shots last time you were here, and those camera shots were more than ever. People should see them. People should see that your TV program, they should show that many, many times. It's education. Engineering, education, and enforcement is the answer to solving these problems.
New Jersey's Department of Transportation is listening. They announced a plan Thursday to spend $800,000 on safety improvements. $300,000 will be covered by the federal government. New traffic signals will be installed that are programmed to sense if traffic is getting backed up ahead.
And we're going to put in what they call a Q sensor. The STAT system will alert drivers along here, Chris, as to what's happening ahead of them.
The ground will also get painted and will say, "Do not block the box." Fred Arrigo welcomes the changes. His business sits right next to the crossing. You've seen accidents here again and again over the years.
Yes, it happens all the time. It's just the way that it's situated on an angle. So it's something we got to live with. Maybe now with this all this news coverage, something will get done to the benefit.
something is being done to benefit. Altogether, the $800,000 that will be spent on safety upgrades are to be expected to continue over a course of 3 months to install them, and the construction should start in just a couple weeks. Now, Midland Avenue will have to be closed for 2 weeks, and NJDOT says they will put out an alert when the detours are coming.
I mean, that's just one area, but we're talking about there's got to be other areas they're dealing with right now. So what is it, Congressman? What are next steps?
Well, he's hoping to push a bill through that would double the amount of federal spending, an additional $240 million just for spending on safety improvements to railroad crossings.
All right, Christie, thank you so much. I know you were out there and you saw it happen firsthand during her
dramatic.
live shots. Yeah. Thanks so much.
John and Tamsin, shovels are in the ground here on Midland Avenue in Elmwood Park today, and many in the area say it is a long time coming that they have seen too many crashes and close calls at this railroad crossing before. We've shown you this before, the near crash that Pix 11 News caught on camera. 5 cars trapped on the railroad tracks with a train speeding toward them at up to 70 miles an hour. It was a near miss, but again and again, people from the area and our cameras caught cars missing the flashing lights and closing gates. It was coverage like this and pressure from Congressman Bill Pascrell that led to today. NJ Transit and New Jersey's Department of Transportation has deployed construction crews and cranes. $800,000 is being invested to install a new lighting system designed to keep traffic from backing up onto the tracks. A new crossing surface and signs are also part of the plan. All welcome changes after too many crashes.
There's been a lot of accidents. Recently, a lady actually made a wrong turn and pulled down the tracks.
Many times I have seen it, happening.
There have been 16 accidents here in 10 years. A nearby store owner, Sam Patel, witnessed the aftermath of this crash. In 2009, a train traveling at the legal speed limit of 70 miles per hour through the crossing slammed into the right side of a woman's car. It was crushed. Just like the close call we witnessed, traffic trapped the driver inside the gates. The police report said that due to the speed of the oncoming train, the driver was unable to take any further action. 400 people were on board the train. Only the driver was hurt.
She was lucky to get out of it, she had some bruises there, so.
They have to do something before somebody else gets killed here.
People are hoping that these changes will have a lasting effect. This railroad crossing has the highest predicted rate of accidents out of any in the entire metropolitan region. Construction is expected to take 3 months. In Elmwood Park, I'm Christie Duffy, Pix 11 News.